So let's get to independent stuff. You've dabbled, you've had some ups and downs a little bit, maybe as you kind of started.
Mm-hmm.
How has been the first few years? Now you've got, a couple of things under your belt. Giant Size is getting ready to go to print. You're, writing scripts for more stuff. Talk about that feeling. Like, what does it feel like? What is if there was like a person that's still kind of like maybe they're struggling through some of their learning curves and their lumps, or they're thinking about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you're experiencing and positives and encouragements that you'd have for some of them?
Well, let me tell you about my mistakes first and how I learned from them. The first thing I tried to crowdfund, I used Kickstarter, and Chuck and I tried to crowdfund Joe Frankenstein. And, this is back in like 2014, something like that, maybe even longer, maybe 2013. And it was a complete disaster. we didn't know what we were doing. We thought that our name brand would be enough, and it is not. You have to reach out. You have to be able to go out and find your audience. And the best way to do that is with YouTube, and start a channel and start promoting your work and getting your audience in one place early before you launch. Because if you try to rely on social media, it's a lie. The algorithms will prevent you from getting the information out to as many. I have almost 5,000 friends on Facebook, and the same 200 see my stuff. And that's the algorithm. And less than that, if you put it as a hyperlink, if you link it to someplace else outside of Facebook, even less will see it.
Wow.
I once posted a picture of a turtle that I found in my backyard, and it had like 800 likes within a day. But I'll post a piece of artwork with a link to Indiegogo, and maybe 50.
Wow. Yeah.
So I got my ass kicked by a turtle.
You look pretty good, though. You look pretty good. I mean, I think you may have had more hair before the turtle incident, but we're not going to really go back there and live in the past. We're just going to keep moving forward.
I'll say this: he was a tough turtle.
Yeah. So, I mean, learning from those failures, learning that YouTube is really, really a powerful tool. I had to learn Twitter as a networking tool because I've deleted Twitter twice. I've been through that rigmarole a couple of times, and finally, you know what? So then I kind of thought of it as a way of having everyone to. It's like I always keep referring to email, but I actually mean DM on Twitter. Very few people do I email with, but I DM through Twitter. It's like, oh wait, so this is like a networking tool, and all the rest of it I just don't pay attention to. It's like if anything, I just know I'm just having fun. I don't look at it as any. But the law of numbers. I mean, I don't want to derail too much into Ripaverse, but when you got 500,000 followers, and even though he's blowing up to 15,000 supporters. 15,000 out of 500,000. Think about the law of numbers there, folks. It is a very difficult, challenging prospect. No offense, to get our money. To be honest, it's hard. It's a lot of work.
It is hard,
especially right now. We got economic problems that make it worse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They say that you need 1,000 super fans. Those are the people that will actually spend money on your products, whether that be in crowdfunding or some other venture. If you have 1,000 super fans, you can make a living. So that's your magic number. You gotta have 1,000. And then those are those people that come back each time. They're not just drive-bys. So it's important to build that relationship with them. Reach out to them. Be accessible. Be a nice guy. Don't be a dick.
You're always looking for more because you're going to bleed some out over time too, right? So let's say you have 1,000. Let's say next month you might lose 50. You got to go get 55 more. You got to, so people don't want to understand that it's not a static world that we live in. And I'm just as guilty, right? So I admitted I didn't get Dan Lawless's cover. Economic stuff, right? You can only spend. I got a whole stack like this right next to me. I can only do so much at one time, and it's like, oh crap, I missed this one or missed that one. Oh, well, I'm going to get it next time. So it's a constant thing that 1,000 even. So I hope we don't spin our wheels too much as sounding negative because you've at least gotten over this first hump with some of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next? I know Mim asked for what's your next campaign launch, and then you've kind of teased a little bit about what you're writing or whatever. But kind of like what's the feeling of how you structure your YouTube kind of marketing at that point? Like, how do you kind of like, you gave some pointers, obviously, just be nice to your customers and thank them and not be a jerk. What is your kind of strategy in that?
You got to respect them. There's so many people in this business that talk trash about the readers and about the fans. You know, if their book isn't selling, you know, they'll call them racists or homophobes or something because they didn't like the content of that book. Well, they didn't like it. They didn't buy it. They exercise their rights as free people to not buy your crap. And the problem is the creators are unwilling to take acceptance for the crap.
That's very true.
You know, give people what they want. Treat them with respect.
Yeah, there it is right there. Treat them with respect. And Dan's saying it too, but first we'd say hey to Gray in Japan. Wakazashi Tea House is here. So hail to Gray. He is a huge Batman fan, just so you know. Gap After Dark, formerly known as Gap Stargate. You're Gap Stargate to me, brother. He's saying hey to us, so that's pretty cool. Dan says, the new industry is two products, your comic and your personality. Marvel and DC still only offer one. Listen, I told Dan, I'll tell you two. You know what? That's a good point, Graham. That's a good point. I'm not enjoying anything. My kids got me the Marvel app for Christmas, thinking they were being helpful, and all they do is make me read old comic books. Is all that's actually happening on that app. Because anytime I try to dabble with anything in the last 10 years, it's been brutally bad.
Yeah.
I tell you, it is really, really cool though the way you guys do the YouTube stuff, because you guys are pretty much who you are. Like, it doesn't take very many videos, folks, to figure out who Graham Nolan is and who Dan Lawless is and who Aaron Lepresti is and Billy Tucci, and they share story. I mean, man, some of the stories that you guys get into, man, it's a blast.
When you're broadcasting enough, you can't hide. You know, eventually your true self is going to come out as you become comfortable. And some people don't have the personality for it, and maybe they ought to avoid it. But you know, most of us we're just, you know, like all the professionals, we're all just regular guys, you know, that like to hang out, love to bust balls, have fun, tell stories, and have a good laugh, you know, a good laugh, a good cigar, a good glass of whiskey, whatever, you know, that's just who we are.
It is a blast.
Right